I'm delighted to be rejoined here on Policing TV by Tony Blaker QPM. As you can probably tell, we're in Parliament Square with the Elizabeth Tower, also known as Big Ben, behind us. Tony, thank you so much again for joining Policing TV here. We have the peal of bells probably audible in the background, but I'm sure we can hear you very well indeed. So we're going to talk now about your career once you'd handed in your warrant card. So as a member of police staff, initially with the police digital service, and subsequently, even though we're here in Parliament Square in central London, with Cumbria Police, one of the northernmost forces. So tell us about, first of all, that time with the police digital service.
Well, my transition out of policing was considered as my entry into it, in that I retired without a plan, and I ended up working for the police digital service because I was the national courts lead, and I was already the senior responsible owner for the digital case file project, and had been for a number of years, and so they offered me the chance to continue that project post-retirement. So
just a little bit about the case file. That's taking the case that's been put together by the police officer.
Yeah, so currently police officers investigate a crime, record all the data in statements and exhibit logs, etc., in the records management system, and at the end of the investigation they have to fill out a whole bundle of forms, digital forms, to put a case file together for the CPS. And we've been working with the CPS for about 5 or 6 years on a fully digitised version. So as you investigate, the data you enter into your investigation then can be drawn by the system to create a digital case file. Huge quality improvements, hopefully, for policing, saving time for the CPS. So we're working on that. We've now got a version of the niche software in technical testing with the CPS's case management system. Looking forward to going live in January 2026 in South Wales and Gwent. So I've been doing that for a number of years. The police digital service offered me the chance of seeing that project through in retirement, so I took the chance.
It's an enormously complex area, and in fact it's where we first met on the implementation of niche RMS in Sussex many years ago. Very complex area.
And that was my first introduction to police's use of digital capabilities, and that kind of got me hooked in it being a really interesting aspect of policing that many people either don't understand or avoid.
So senior responsible officer for that.
Yes.
You then moved into the police digital service, so a national body that has overarching responsibility for this.
Well, it's the delivery vehicle for national digital capabilities. So having got there, we started the Digital Evidence Project, which was the work we did on commission from the Home Office to support the investigation of rape after the end-to-end rape review. So we did 3 years work on understanding what digital capabilities were needed by rape investigators, and trialling and prototyping new approaches to using technology to support rape investigations for 3 years. We created the digital forensics program that's currently running, which is to provide forces with centrally validated digital selective extraction tools, and is now moved on to providing cloud automated services for processing digital materials, so the start of that program. The digital fingerprint capability, so we took onboarded from Transforming Forensics, the program that closed, the cloud bureau for examining fingerprints, so you can upload a digital photograph of a fingerprint from a crime scene, you can upload it on an app to a cloud bureau, it can be processed digitally and then passed to the biometric matching service and get back the identification and complete the process. So that's being rolled out currently. So we stood that program up to do that. Yeah, so we ended up doing a number of really interesting things, but all it was all about saying is, how can you take the opportunity of technology and make it work for policing and deliver benefit? And that's really hard to do. Technology is complicated, policing is complicated, so that was a real privilege to work for the best part of 3 years leading those programs.
Not only is technology potentially complex, but also in the UK, policing and stakeholder management is enormously complicated.
Well, it is, and of course much of what we do is interfaces, is integrated with the Crown Prosecution Service, the court service, and the courts rely on the product of our investigation. So you've got to try and do, it's multi-dimensional. You've got the policing complexity of 43 plus territorial forces, all with their own independent technology ecosystems. You've got the national applications that are largely run by the Home Office on our behalf, like PND, PNC.
Police National Database, Police National Computer.
The National Intelligence Record, the National Convictions and other records. So you have this two-layer technology environment, and then you have to work with other agencies and their data requirements and their technology. And then you have to do a change program that takes things from where you are now and hopefully seamlessly transitions into a new way of working that's cheaper, faster, better.
So as a senior responsible officer, okay, the technology and dealing with the supplier and others is one element, but also significant part dealing with those 43 territorial chief constables and others, as well as the head of the Crown Prosecution Service, the court service, and so on and so forth. Giving you the opportunity either to comment about that, or perhaps specifically about what gives you the greatest pride from that. What do you look back on and think that was an absolute difficult task to do, and what do you think was perhaps your greatest success in that time?
Well, what I say, I'll answer both questions briefly. The answer is you create strategic partnerships with the people you're dealing with. You don't treat suppliers in an adversarial manner. You try and work with them to understand how to get the best out of them and how to achieve your goals and then to achieve their goals. And you work with partner agencies in a way that works out how do you get win-wins. You won't achieve anything if you take a sort of isolated or single agency view to delivering change in the system. In terms of what I'm particularly proud of, when the end-to-end rate review was published, we were asked what could we do to help the response from the police service, and over 3 years we worked with the Home Office ACE capability to explore with industry, with interested stakeholders, what were the problems, working with forces. We generated a really clear understanding of the digital challenges, and then we showcased and illustrated how technology could help. Things like the selective extraction tooling that's available now, that all came out of that thinking. So for me, to take a thing that says we're not very good at this in policing and people are working really hard but we're not getting the outcomes we want, and then to be able to say 3 years later, this is how technology can assist you, and then provide a way forward, that I was really pleased with.
I'm just going to remark on the ACE acronym. I can't remember what it stands for.
It's the Accelerated Capabilities Environment.
It's effectively, and they may not thank me for this description, but it's a sort of think tank within the Home Office environment that's looking...
I wouldn't say think tank. It's a kind of arm's length arrangement where really innovative and dynamic procurement and contracting with small and medium enterprises and the big ones enables us to get into unpicking a problem and coming up with solutions quickly in an agile fashion. So it's a kind of more of a development
brilliant, thank you for that explanation.
Think tank.
Perfect, thank you. Now, so your time at PDS, suitably described, thank you very much. And now an attachment to Cumbria Police. Even though we're here in London,
yes,
the role that you have is a national significant role. Tell us about that role that is notionally at least attached to Cumbria Police, and perhaps start by explaining why it's attached to Cumbria Police.
Well, the current chief of the Digital Data and Technology Coordinating Committee, so
DDaT, Digital
DDaT,
Data and Technology.
So the DDaT chair, so under NPCC, a Chief Constable is the lead for a national thematic area. The DDaT area is chaired by the Chief Constable of Cumbria, Rob Carden. Rob Carden has hired me as a Chief of Staff to support him in driving forward the 2030 National Police Digital Strategy. So that's our mission. We want to improve technology for policing and its use of data and its cybersecurity. And my job as a Chief of Staff is to bring together the components of policing, the 43 forces, the supplier community, the partners, in a way that actually delivers tangible benefit for policing the public.
Now, digital data and technology sounds like an absolutely enormous area. That said, I believe that there's a number of other NPCC portfolios that either overlap to some degree or complement what it is that you're doing. So something about what you're doing and something about how your area, DDaT, works with other NPCC portfolios.
Absolutely. So NPCC is is the coordination of all the national efforts. So other committees, such as the Crime Committee, will have an interest in digital capabilities to progress, say, the investigation of serious and organised crime. So they will have things that they want delivered. So we need to work across those committees to understand what the ask is. You have the Science and Innovation Coordinating Committee, led by Chief Constable Jeremy Vaughan, that is trying to look at what emerging opportunities are coming out of things like AI and robotic process automation. You have the Office of the Police Chief Scientific Advisor, Professor Paul Taylor, working with academia and industry, trying to draw in expertise to think about our problems. So we work, NPCC is a coordination function. So we work by engaging with all of policing and all the stakeholders, working out what the requirements are, prioritising, and then making sure that we pursue the right things at the right time.
I don't think that police motorcyclist is coming after me, or indeed you. I'd be very surprised if they were.
I think we're okay for today.
Okay. So, look, that's been a fascinating explanation of the time that you've spent as a member of police staff post your warrant card carrying time as a police officer. Tony, what we're going to do next is onto the third section of this three-parter, and we're going to be talking about some observations that you have drawing on your career, or effectively what part of what you've learnt in that time. We won't be able to cover all you've learnt in that time.
Hopefully I've learnt something.
I've no doubt. I look forward to filming that shortly. But for the time being, I'm just going to spin the camera around so that we can see the rest of Parliament Square. Tony, thank you for the time being.
Thank you.